Welcome to the Early Night Show with Anway Pramanik.
Welcome to another episode of Anway Pramanik's Early Night Show. Tonight, I'm going to try and play around with a little bit more intonation in my voice, in my pronunciations. And at the same time, I'm going to be doing a two-part podcast today, or a two topic podcast, because it's simply so important that I talk about this. I'm going to talk about it simply from my personal point of view, so I'm not giving anyone any gyan, nor am I trying to endorse a way of living for anyone else, but I'm just going to share what I feel at this point of time in my life. And if you feel like, hey, maybe what Anway is saying right now makes sense for me, then great. Then I would absolutely love for this podcast to have a secondary effect of benefiting you. As you know, is the norm of the Early Night Show with Anway Pramanik, or Anway Pramanik's Early Night Show. It's important that you get yourself a drink, something to keep you company as we jump into this journey together. I've got my cup of green tea. I really don't believe in I wouldn't say I don't believe, but I don't drink green tea because of the health benefits. But I drink it because the heat really makes me focus. Hot water brings my attention back into what I'm swallowing. So it's almost like a meditative thing, like cold showers. Grounding, not meditative, grounding. So yeah, I've got my hot tea, and with every sip, it kind of brings me back when I zone out. All right, so I honestly believe that as much as you and I claim that we don't feel regret, or again, like I said, there are going to be times when I'm going to start using you in this podcast. Please forgive me. I'm really talking to myself here. So I'm not trying to point out something from your life or anything for you. It's just for myself. So anyways, keeping that in mind, there are a lot of times when I tell myself that, I don't feel regret. Or there was a long time in my life that I kept telling myself I don't feel regret and I don't feel jealousy. But at the end of the day, I realized that just like any other human being out there, any other normal person out there, I do feel the same. I feel strong bouts of jealousy. I feel strong bouts of regret. It's just that trying to act like a holy man, I told myself I don't feel those, trying to act like a bigger man. I've realized that when I see people who are doing better than me, I get extremely jealous. Not because I want what they have, but because I see someone who has that kind of drive to push themselves to continue doing something for themselves, which I might not have as much of. I see people who ambitiously pull together their plans, which I sometimes don't. I see people who dedicate themselves to a way of living, which I cannot easily. I see people who master one craft only for a long period of time, delay their gratification, which I find very difficult to do. So when I see such people succeed, I feel very jealous. But then again, I don't feel jealous saying I wish they didn't have that, or I wish only I had that. But it's like, man, this guy got it. What will it take me to get it? So it's never taking away what this person has. It's just to tell myself, I wanted something similar for myself, or I wanted to pursue or nail a goal for myself as similarly. Why am I not able to do that? So to just add some context in my self-reflection, obviously, there are times I'm like, why don't I have a villa? Why don't I have a mansion? Why don't I have like 10 cars? But those are not the things that truly make me jealous. What makes me jealous is someone who has a better personality, a better way to control themselves, a better demeanor, a better understanding of the world than I do. So for me, I get very jealous of people's personalities and their superhuman traits sometimes. And it's often that I get jealous of my best friends or people I consider very close to me. Like, this is where the main meat of the podcast is going to start, like keeping that in mind. Quite recently, I was talking to a friend of mine who is from Europe, Theophile. If you're listening to this, much love to you. You keep asking me to put it up on YouTube, but I've only put it up on Spotify, so I know you're not listening to it. But I'll make sure you do soon. So, I remember not just Theo, but a bunch of like 2-3 of my friends. I would say 2, Theo and Preetham. These were 2 individuals with very fixated goals in their mind 5 years ago, 4 years ago, when I just started hanging out with them very closely. They had very fixated goals and they had kind of like set a plan, not a plan, but milestones that, I'm going to try and achieve this by then, this by then, this by then, this by then, and backtrack if I'm not able to achieve those things. Preetham made himself into one of the best product designers that I know, taught himself website coding. Now he's building websites for all his clients. Theo wanted to travel the world, get himself a beautiful girlfriend, and he wanted to get a degree in psychedelics and what is that known as? He wanted to become a pharmacist. His goal was, how can you create medical opportunities for psychedelics for the common man who might not be able to join a shamanistic initiation ceremony but still needs psychedelics in their life. Like, we all believe strongly that psychedelics are not for everyone, but there is also like coffee is not for everyone, right? Theo and I strongly believe that coffee and milk is not for everyone, but almost everyone would never say no to having that unless they knew they were lactose intolerant or had an acid reflux to coffee. So just like how people have coffee to kickstart their day, what is it that would take for society to say, I'm going through a time in my life where I need to introspect on my darkness, and I know magic mushrooms can come and help here. Psilocybin mushrooms might. So Theo pursued that, and I think he's about to get his Pharma D now. That's like your PhD for pharmacists or something like that. And Preetham just sold his Shopify e-commerce business for I think $1 million or something like that. I'm not sure, something like that, something on those lines. That's like a good 6 crores. So now, when I started out with these guys 5 years ago, my plans were like also, I wanted to achieve some things. And when I see these gentlemen achieve these feats of greatness for themselves, their own targets they met, I feel extremely jealous, and you can understand exactly why. Why do I feel jealous? I wish I had something of my own that I could have, an IP that I could have sold, and I wish, like I had promised Theo, I wish I had put more time into figuring out how I want to travel the world. So let me just take a backtrack here. So 5 years ago, I had set a few plans for myself, like I want to travel the world. And when I say travel the world, I don't just want to like backpack, but I want to go to a continent every 6 months, spend 4 months doing business, consulting startups, working on marketing and advertising, and then spend 2 months traveling, backpacking in that continent. It's kind of like a framework I decided. I'd start with Southeast Asia, do Japan, Singapore, and those countries, and then move on. So build some headquarters, make some friends, connect with them, help everyone. And this is the same time that me, Theo, and Preetham had started brainstorming. But the difference I realized quite recently upon introspection is these 2 boys had put milestones for themselves, saying, 2017 I'll reach this, 2019 I'll reach this, 2020 I'll reach this. And they kind of followed through with that. But for me, I didn't really have these milestones. Now again, this is not at all to say that I don't feel personally that I've grown, because I feel like the person I was 5 years ago would have killed to be the person I am today. Would have probably sold their soul to Satan to be the person I am today. So of that I have no regrets. But what I do have regrets are there are certain dreams that I had, ambitions that I had. And I know these are dreams and ambitions because I've had a billion ideas in those 5 years, but these 2-3 things have still stuck with me. Like one is I really want to work out of Japan for 6 months. That is something I really want to do. At least a year, not 6 months, at least a year I want to see. Again, one of the main reasons is probably it's not happened is because I've never sat down and told myself, how much would it cost me to live in Japan for a year? What do I need? What are the requirements? Where would I stay? And that's what I mean by having a roadmap. If I tell myself, I want to consult businesses, which businesses, where, what industry, what roadmap. So I believe like I was building sandcastles in the air and not really putting these plans into anything physical, tangible that I can pursue. That's the problem I felt. That is what I started doing a lot of. So that got me to think, why is it that I started doing that? And that led me down another loophole. Not a loophole, a rabbit hole. Like I told you, this is going to be a 2-part podcast. The other rabbit hole, quite simply, was I believe that it's very important to know where you're spending your energy as an individual. At least this is what I'm telling myself. I've realized that it's very important for every individual to know where we are spending our energies in a day. I'll give you an example. Just a few days ago, right, I got done with work around 5-6 and I'm like, I've done absolutely nothing today and yet I'm so exhausted. It was an entire week. I'm like, I've done nothing. But I'm terribly exhausted. So that got me to start asking myself the question, why is it that I'm exhausted? What's causing this? Am I unfit? Am I not working out enough? Am I not eating well? Am I not drinking enough water? And I realized none of these things are true. I mean, obviously to an extent. But I realized it's primarily because throughout the day, I spent my energy on the most bullshit of things. Again, not bullshit, but on things that weren't a priority at that point of time. Like I spent a lot of time on Reddit, spent a lot of time creating some content, which I didn't need to. Spent a lot of time gaming, which I didn't need to. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out a personal problem, which I didn't need to at that point of time. So I spent my energy on unnecessary things at that point of time. Similarly, I realized, that this Preetham and Theo, they spend their energy only on a very limited number of things, which got them to, apologies for that, I would say they spend their energy on very limited number of things which got them to reach those certain milestones. Because Preetham always kept telling me this, dude, you cannot focus your energy on too many things because that does not get you anywhere. And I totally agree with him now. And I totally agree with him now. So I realized that one of the main reasons why I was not able to achieve those milestones, again, like I told you, one, I didn't have those milestones. I just had sandcastles in the air. And secondly, I had too many sandcastles in the air. If I had probably maybe just 1 or 2 ideas to pursue, it would have been great. But I had so many. And I realized most of them weren't even for a good reason. They were just to impress someone or to try and prove something to someone, which, yeah, as much as it's good, isn't what I want to spend my energy on. So I'll club these two things whatever I've said so far into one thing. So I realized I was really jealous of these two people who have achieved something. And I realized they've achieved something because they put milestones into it. And I realized, in addition to putting these milestones, one of the reasons they were able to achieve it so nicely is because they had only spent their energy on things relevant. Right? Like there is always something that I'm going to do a podcast with Preetham and Theo. So you guys are going to you're going to, not together, individual podcasts with both for season 2. And you guys are going to love these podcasts because it's going to go so much fun, right? You're going to hear both these point of views of both these individuals. We always believe, like Theo always believes in playing a big role to help awaken humanity, and he wants to pursue his craft from a chemist medical point of view to be able to do that. Preetham always wanted financial freedom, and he did that by teaching himself something that is a very valuable skill today to build websites for e-commerce. It's a 7.1 billion, like almost a $50 billion industry as of 2019. So he's got a chunk of that pie. Theo is getting into another pie. And I wanted to do not the same things as both of them, something on the borderline, fringe lines, which is why I connected. But I didn't put milestones, and now I am. So this podcast is one of the only other thing in my life where I'm putting energy now. Apart from my day work, which I love, apart from my racing commentary, which I love, and there's barely anything I waste my energy on right now, or rather I should spend my energy on right now. So that's great. I mean, just the other day I had to scrap another idea because I realized that idea isn't something I want to do right now, and it's not going to help me grow, but it's something I want to do to gain favors or to gain recognition or fame. And I'm like, it's a secondary thing for me right now. So it's really amazing that I was able to put myself in this self-awareness mode and realize this, because if I hadn't, I would have suffered very strongly. Like just till a month back, I was really, really struggling internally. And it took me to accept this. It took me a good amount of time to accept this. And when I did it, it was a relief. It was like a wave of relief. Like, like what? It all comes down to me at the end of the day. Like nobody else can take the responsibility for my position right now. Same way, like I will not give credits to anyone else for my successes. I will not give the credit to anyone else for my failures as well, except for myself. And I see it as failures because I still dream of those two, like a few things which I want to achieve. And there's still sandcastles in the air, and I hope to use some good amount of time to be able to draft these sandcastles in the air into something realistic that I can pursue. And as much as, like I've had individuals in my life who have always battled with my opinions. They've always said, dude, it's not good to plan, live the day as it comes. Unless they're very rich, I've not seen these people achieve anything great in their life. And I'm being very honest here. They have lived a very mediocre life and been happy with it, which I know for a fact I can never be satisfied with. I cannot be satisfied with living a life where I'm accepting my situation just because, where I'm accepting a situation that I cannot do something. I will try my best to fight and make sure that I make every situation work for me, no matter what. Giving up is something I just don't have. Like giving up, surrendering, like accepting things without questioning them. These are things I don't have. So yeah, I really, really am happy here in this state of mind. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of a lot of people. But I always say it, like, if I'm jealous of you, I would like you to see it as a compliment, because I think you've done something great. Not with the status, not with your achievements, but with the kind of personality that you've developed in this process. So felt really good to get that off my chest publicly. I need to get a shave and a haircut. It feels so uncomfortable. I'll probably get it done tomorrow. If you have any recommendations of a good stylist, please tell me. So yeah, I just want to sum it up. I think that if anything in this podcast I'd like you to connect to, it's that take a moment to reflect on what things you're wasting most of your time on today, which you know is not giving you anything in return. And again, I'm not talking about the hustle or productivity. No, I mean, if you're playing video games, you're playing 5 video games, and you know one of those video games is something you're just chumma time pass playing it. Ask yourself if you really want to spend that time playing that video game, or if you just want to play another video game instead. Like, I started playing GTA 5. It's a great looking game, but the story is garbage. I didn't connect to it at all. Maybe for its time it was great, 3 characters, etc. But the story just didn't connect with me. So I dropped it and I started playing Skyrim back again because that's a game I love. It's about knowing where to spend your time. Like, I want to spend time playing video games all the time, but that means I want to reduce the time that I'm spending elsewhere. And this is something that a friend of mine has a theory that you've got to outsource those works which take a lot of time investment and get you zero returns so that you can spend your energy and time on other works. This is a completely different, heavy subject matter topic in and of itself. So I'm not going to jump into it right now, but just keep that in mind. Like, if you know you have to get a task done, then it's best to just outsource it. Like, for example, I know for a fact that to promote my podcast, I need to make these 50-60 second snippets, edit them nicely, make it an animation, and run them as ads. But the time investment to do that is Herculean right now, and I cannot afford to. So I was thinking of getting myself an intern just to do that for me. So yeah, that's another thing, another learning in the process. I'll talk about it once I have more track record of successfully doing it. Till then, I'm gonna sign off on this note. It's 12:32 a.m. This is podcast number 18. We've already reached October. March, April, May, June, July, August, September, around 8 months of lockdown. It's been beautiful. I've loved every moment of it. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you are with someone, I want you to go and tell them that you love them. If you're alone, I want you to hear this message as I say, you deserve all the love in the world. Nobody can take that away from you. That's why I say, that cup of hot tea, when you swallow that and you feel that warmth going in, you can be like, you cannot deny that there's warmth in your body. So I had a very fucking anxiety day today. I did something which pushed me out of my comfort zone like crazy, but I did it anyways, and I got great results out of it. Apart from that, yeah, just want to sign off on that note. I've got my controller charging, headphones charged, because I'm going to play this game called Blasphemous. It looks like one of the most incredibly unique games of this era, and I've always spoken about how I want to only play and experience new things, not repetitive things, not predictable things, and this is one of those things. So really look forward to it. I'll probably do a podcast about Blasphemous and the story of Blasphemous and the whole Christianity and pagan and biblical side of it, and how I've had a very Christian background in terms of my upbringing. I was in a convent. Let me make a note of that. I can't see anything. Anyways, thank you for joining in. Have a great night ahead. This is Papa Anway signing off. Wishing all you crazy mutton heads a great good night ahead. Look at the moon. It's a beautiful moon. Good night. All the love, all the spiritual power. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.